This question is from an anonymous. Dear Ajahn Anan, I would like to request the opportunity to ask Tan Ajahn regarding a teenage boy with mental issue that could lead to serious danger. He would have thoughts which then lead to self-harm, including biting his tongue, swallowing various objects, including a small-sized Buddha image, even though he has a strong faith and highly respects the Buddha. After every action of self-harm, he feels regret and remorse. Other actions include eyes poking and digging and self-cutting with a knife. What could be his past karma that has led to his current condition and behavior? Not even his parents could properly keep him under control. Many attempts have been tried to help him improve, but all have practically failed. So far, not even a qualified psychiatrist could successfully treat him. However, there is only one Dhamma practitioner, Upasika, who could keep him under control, but only to a certain extent. The boy has a very strong faith in this person, and he only listens to her. Every time he sees her, and the longer he stays near her, his urge of self-harm lessens significantly. Positive emotion arises, and he becomes a normal, healthy person. However, when he and the Upasika separate, and when he goes back home, he reverts back to his former self with dangerous behavior and suffering mental state. So his parents would have to frequently take him to see the Upasika. Why is this so? Is there a karmic connection between this boy and the Upasika? Is there a way for this boy to recover back to normal permanently again? Thank you, Tan Ajahn, with much gratitude.
So this shows that this boy's mind is abnormal. The karma related to this is likely from having harmed living beings, whether human beings or animals in the past. And so the resulting karma is this harming to oneself or others. And in this case, it's the harming of oneself. So this isn't normal behavior, which is shown in his actions in the body and mind. And so if the boy can go to that Upasika, that laywoman, then it does show that this woman has a part of being able to, this boy is able to receive this metta, goodwill, loving kindness from this Upasika. And so she has a part in helping him and can ease his karma somewhat and give him support. So if possible, then to have the boy be with that Upasika for longer periods of time, or even give the boy as a disciple of that Upasika. You can also have the boy give offerings of Sanghadana, of robe sets, ask for forgiveness during the forgiveness ceremony, asking from support from all the deities and the sacred holy objects, and can make these offerings to a certain monastery, a sangha of monks, offering as well the flowers, the 5 types of flowers, and aromatic objects in order as an offering. He could also do the Pamsakula ceremony for the dead and for the living, and this may have him or help him to be reborn anew as if. And then all the merit that one gains from doing all these offerings and ceremonies, then one can, or they can dedicate that to his karmic debtors. And so the state of the mind of this boy is likely very weak, that other vinyanas or spirits are able to enter and sort of control his mind and make him harm himself. And so the time when he's with that upasika, he's more like himself. And that's when the karmic debtor has to retreat away. And so then he's able to listen to that upasika, or maybe you can find another monk who has kindness and are able to help him as well, and they can play a part in assisting. But this isn't, this case isn't very easy because of this karma that he has. But you can try the methods that I've suggested here, and hopefully that can reduce these symptoms that he's experiencing a bit. And so there's also examples that Venerable Ajahn Anan has seen himself, that there was one child, and he would have certain moods come up very strongly, and he couldn't make any decisions himself and got very stressed, and he had a very short attention span, and whenever encountering any sort of decision that had to be made or problem coming up, he would smash his head onto the ground, hitting it bang, bang, bang like that. It's as if he wanted to free himself from those problems, and he had a lot of stress with it. And the feeling was of like being stuck in a room that one felt very trapped or oppressed in, and wanting to smash out of that room. So this is related to sort of the excess blood or hot blood inside that's cycling in that body. So the circulation or blood system isn't normal. And so when this boy had blood taken out of him, then he would feel more at ease. And so this is coming from those symptoms of, not sure what it's translated as, but maybe hot-blooded in direct translation. There was also another child as well whose mother was a doctor, and this child had a similar symptoms as well, sort of a hot-blooded, or the cycle wasn't inside the body wasn't good, wasn't able to control his emotions and body. The father of the mother, so his grandfather, was a monk and had very good samadhi, so he's very skilled, and he told the boy to come close to him, and he took his hand and poked him or tapped him on the forehead here very hard, and he did that until the blood came out. And something like this, it needs a sort of special samadhi there in order to treat this person or this boy in this way. But after that, what that monk did, this child was better, was free from those symptoms, that sickness that he had. So he was free from that sort of chaotic mind states, that hot sort of feeling, and this was because this condition was related to his body. But if it's also related to the mind that affects the citta, then it can be a problem, and that's much harder to overcome.
The next question is from Mr. Dinesh from the UK. Dear Longpa, Vantana, I am curious if we could be born as trees with our karmic consequences, and what realm will that be? Thank you.
So which tree do you want to be reborn as? So any spirits or consciousness that can enter the trees, maybe from UK, I don't know what types of trees you have there. Maybe you want to be reborn as an apple tree, or maybe a very big tree. So we have to understand that the tree is a part of nature. It doesn't have consciousness, vijnana. It's nature, it's a part of nature. And so when we die, we aren't able to be reborn as a tree. A tree has its own causes for it to be born or arise. But there is the ruka, deva, which can be supported by the tree, or live supported by the tree, or a mountain, but it isn't a self or vijnana consciousness that's being born as a tree. That there's no such thing. But for monks to get someone to cut the tree isn't appropriate, and so they may instead say that the place might be cleaner or be better for different circumstances, but it's not appropriate to cut those big trees because they can provide shade and coolness, and animals can be supported and live because of that tree, maybe because of the tree itself, the fruit, the bark. It can be food to certain animals. Like in the monastery, we have squirrels here who rely supported on trees, and so they're able to support those animals. And so in the realms, there's the human realm, lower is the animal realm, and then there's the hell realms. Higher than the human realm, they have the Deva realms, and then the Brahma realms.
This question is from an anonymous. It's quite difficult for me to read, so please forgive me. I'll try my best. Venerable Sir, while studying dependent origination from the 12 links, I am confused how the important aggregate of perception is not included. As sense contact leads to feelings, it is our perception that rates it pleasant or unpleasant. Only after which craving, grasping arises and the rest of the links emerge. So at the level of feelings, vedana, if we do not allow perceptions to arise through our wisdom of anicca, dukkha, anatta, so that only knowing is present, the rest of the links would dissolve. Is my understanding correct? Please, could you clarify this point? Thank you.
So that shows that your contemplation is very in-depth, asking why there's no sanya perception. So we understand first that there's avijja, ignorance, and this is understanding it as a self, a me, a mine, and this is the cause for sankhara to arise, karmic formations, and this is of the type that has self, has a sense of self, these proliferations. And so the mind has already moved then from that ignorance, and from sankhara there's vijnana, which is sense consciousness of the type that has a self. This is coming from sankhara and from vijnana then to nama-rupa. Nama-rupa, in nama there's the vedana, sanya, sankhara, and so sanya perception is within this. Rupa is of 4 elements, and from nama-rupa then leads to salayatana, which is the 6 sense bases. So there's the inner sense bases, the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, and which is set to receive the outer sense bases, objects, the sights, sounds, taste, odors, bodily contact or tactile sensations, and mental objects. And so then that then leads to phassa, contact to arise, which leads to vedana, feeling that arises of the pleasant, unpleasant, or neither pleasant nor unpleasant side. And so where then should we have our mindfulness and wisdom in order to be able to let go, that we are able then to cut all the links of this chain of dependent origination. So we can cut it at tanha, at craving, or at phassa, at sense contact. If we take care with our sense contact, we can cut it at vedana, if we're able to let that go. Even at attachment or clinging, we're able to let that go, let go of the sense of self, of me and mine. And letting go then has wisdom arises. So this sanya is there within nama rupa, and this which leading to salayatana, the 6 sense bases, which is able to receive the outer sense objects.
Next question is from Jay from the US. Feeling lucky for this amazing opportunity. My question is about how to handle people who have cultivated tremendous concentration of mind, but use power in cruel and uninvited ways. Please, anumotami.
So samadhi can be samma samadhi, which is, we can translate as right concentration. So this is correct. It has sila, moral conduct. It has right view, and it's for the liberation from suffering. It gives benefit to oneself and others. The other type is miccha samadhi, which is like wrong concentration, or this is coming from wrong thoughts. And so there still may be stillness of mind, but this samadhi can be used to harm others, whether harming other people's body, mind, or even taking their life. And we hear of this in the news, and those people, they may have a still mind, but it's coming from moha or delusion, and its intention is to harm others, and it damages the peace in the world. And so this is coming from a view that wants to harm others or oneself. And so there is even people that train, and so that is quite scary then as well. And so there's also even people that train to have stillness of the mind in order to do bad things or bad ways through actions and speech. And it can even end up harming and killing a lot of people, which we may see in the news. And if people can even develop very high levels of samadhi, but it's coming from wrong view, and then can use that samadhi to harm them, others. So we then can understand then that samadhi can be of the correct way, which leads to benefit, or of the wrong way, which leads to a lot of danger. So you should be developing samma samadhi, which means you have a good foundation with sila, with moral conduct. So whether you have a lot of samadhi or just a little, but you have that foundation of sila and of metta, goodwill and compassion. So this is your foundation for the mind. And so one shouldn't then to do just because one has samadhi or stillness of mind, it doesn't mean that one can do whatever one wants with that samadhi, because that would be a very heavy karma. And how to protect oneself against people who use in that way, you have to make your own mind peaceful and still enough so that others won't be able to use their samadhi in order to affect you or control you. So try to gather your strength of mind as much as you can.
This question is from an anonymous. Dear Ajahn Anan, I've been following the Buddhist path for a long time, but for many reasons, including time and distance, I haven't been able to maintain close relationships with Buddhist Kalyana Mittas. Maybe it's my parami or karma, but in any case, is it good enough to take the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha as my refuge and follow teachers' advice alone? Or as a layperson, it's very much recommended to follow the path with lay companions. And I should put more effort in getting involved with peers. Much appreciation for your kind guidance.
So the Kalyana Mitta is a good friend. There's a good friend on the outside and a good friend on the inside. So the good friend on the outside is the friends that have sila, have Dhamma. They pull you to a good way. They give you benefit. It can be good advice that benefits you, Dhamma. And the inner good friend is the Noble Eightfold Path. So if you have right view and the Noble Eightfold Path within you, then it's fine to be alone. You maybe being with external outside friends, then it can cause a lot of anxiety or troubles. But if one has built a parami or a lot of parami, then one will have both outer friends and inner friends. The Buddha in his past life when he was a Brahmin Jyotipala, he wasn't interested in the Buddha's teachings, the Buddha Sasana, and he had a friend that listened to the Dhamma of the Buddha of that era and took refuge in the Triple Gem, and this was the Brahma God that we chant when we're asking for a Dhamma talk. And so in that life, that was a friend of our Buddha, and he wanted to take his friend to listen, to pay respects to the Buddha of that era, Buddha Kassapa. But our Buddha didn't want to go, and so his friend grabbed him by the hair knot very hard to pull him to go. And our Buddha then thought that, it must be something very important if my friend's taking it to this extent. And so ended up following him, paid respects to the Buddha of that era, and ordained as a bhikkhu, as a monk. The Brahma God, or his friend, he couldn't ordain in that life because he had to look after his aging parents. But he had pulled, so the Kalyana Mittas can help to pull one in the right direction. But if one is alone, without any Kalyana Mittas, that's fine. If one practices and has dana, sila, and bhavana, then it's not a problem. And so that was our Buddha as a bodhisattva who had already received the prediction that he would become a Buddha in the future. And so he gained something good from being pulled to pay respects to the Buddha of that era. So for yourself, don't throw away your Kalyana Mittas, your good friends. Try to reduce your own ego, conceit, and views. Try to listen to your friends, what they say, their advice, and it's possible then you'll get good things within your life and in your Dhamma practice.